Okay, how about this one? This is a fun one. What's a funny historical take that you got for Wacom or Linden? Were there any particular events that were especially outrageous?
Yeah, the one thing that I love the most is from a Linden standpoint is some of the characters that came out of Linden. I mean, I know that there are characters that come out of every community, but when in the case of Linden, just some of the historic characters are just some of the most unique. And it amazes me the reach that their voices had as well. You get some of the more serious ones like Saul Lewis, editor of the Linden Tribune. Okay. His grandson still runs the Tribune. So I think it is one of very, very few surviving family-owned newspapers left in the United States.
That few?
That few.
Wow.
Yeah, big time. I mean, there are small newspapers in the U.S., but newspapers that are still like third or fourth generation owned, very, very, very few. Unless one of Mike's great grandkids steps up to take it or something, it's going to be one of those drops off the list, unfortunately. Oof. But so you had Saul Lewis, who during World War II became a voice of the nation on NPR radio for telling his tales of Parsnip's Corner, which was basically him telling tales out of school of things going on in Linden, because Linden was such an iconic small town during World War II.
Really?
Yeah. You get Ed Edson, who is the most militantly pacifist person I've ever run into. He at one point called for the sheriff to arrest the U.S. military not drafters, but the U.S. military guys who were coming to draft and sign people up for World War I. His son signed up for World War I. Went off, his son Gale Edson, and Gale went off to serve solely in the Army Medical Corps. His father was such a pacifist that doing anything in regards to World War I was just anathema. He wouldn't talk to his son for years afterwards.
Really?
Even after his son came back. And they ran the same Edson drugstore. I mean, they would work in the same store, and literally reports were that Ed would say something along the lines to a customer, "Oh, thank God you came in. Would you tell Gale?" Even though Gale had been with them for the last hour.
Wow.
And he could have easily just turned to his son and said, "Gale, would you do this?" so you get that. You get Billy Waples, who it comes from effectively nowhere and runs one of the most successful department stores in the history of the United States, and is recognized by business schools across the nation as an honorary alumni for being such a successful business person.
Really?
And he wasn't just regarded as a successful business person from a standpoint of his ability to run a business and sell things, but his ability to have that business be an integral part of the community. There's a tale. Okay. So where I work now, Village Books is in the Waples building, built in 1914.
Right. Yes.
Okay. That building burned back in, reopened 2015, about 2004.
Oh, the fire was 2004.
The fire was 2004. It was empty for about 10 years. I was the curator at the museum at that point in time, and it was interesting to see, because I'm just down at the museum, and suddenly somebody comes running in. Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! The department store's burning. And it was amazing, because by that point in time, it wasn't a department store. Hadn't been the department store for 20 years. It was Delft Square after some rebranding, but everybody in town still called it the department store, not Delft Square. The department store's burning. Everybody went. I mean, you saw the entire town converge on downtown until there was just this crowd of people watching this building burn. And there was this really, really strange feel. It wasn't that normal feel of, oh my God, it's a disaster. Look, it's a burning building. Sort of that reaction of an entire group getting together and going, that's too bad. That's going to, everybody agreeing this is a horrible situation.
Right.
It was a feeling like somebody had gutted Linden. I mean, just gutted, thrown it to the ground, kicked it, strangled it, and it felt like Linden had died. And for years afterwards, that's how the community acted. I mean, people would be like, well, the Linden department store's gone. Linden's done for. There's downtown's going to collapse. Might as well just move now. Linden is just going to become a wasteland. There's no reason.
Might as well just go down to Bellingham.
Might as well, yeah, literally, people are just like, might as well just move to Bellingham. There's no reason to stay in Linden anymore. Now that the department store's gone, Linden's gone.
Jeez.
So it amazed me that a business person had built a business that was so integral to the community that the business not having lived there for 20 years, a generation having passed, still had so much physical presence and power in the community that the community literally, that building is the heart of Linden. I mean, it is the physical, and if it beat when it was living, it would be the living heart of Linden.
Okay.
I mean, and when it was brought back and reopened as the Waples building, it was just like, oh my God, Linden can breathe and be alive again. You know, I mean, it was just amazing because as an anthropologist, you always hear about these centers of a community, but usually they're areas, like, you know, you hear about the downtown area or the such and such neighborhood, or, you know, as being the core of that community's identity. But for a singular building to be that core.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And by all accounts, he was an amazingly generous person. The rumor when I first started, the rumor was that Billy Waples supported Linden through the Depression by giving out loans. And there was no proof of that. It was just sort of this general knowledge that Billy Waples had managed. Linden would have gone down if it wasn't for Billy Waples during the Depression.
Right.
So one day somebody comes down and is like, hey, Troy, I was actually the owner of Delft Square at the time. You want to come and see what we found? We're doing some remodeling in the very upstairs of it, and we found a door and an unknown office. And there's a whole bunch of books. Thought you might want to come down and take a look at them. So I'm like, sure, my job. Let's go do it. It's always interesting. So I went down, and it's just a room, maybe about 10 feet by 10 feet, 12 feet by 12 feet, you know, a small office, one window, an old desk, and a bookshelf with just a bunch of business journals ranging anywhere from about that thick to that thick.
Oh.
And so I pull them off and I start looking through, and I realize these are the sales receipts journals, the accounting journals and everything from like 1910 through 1960 something. And I suddenly realize, so I start looking through and just pulling them off to see if I can find, and so finally the first I pull off is 1932. And I'm like, yes, here it is. The accounting proof. Did Billy Waples actually carry Linden through the Depression?
Wow.
And took it to, at the time, Boyce Rapley Ross, which was the accounting firm that we worked with. Boyce Rapley Ross. Brittany bought it later. Boyce Rapley, who was the accounting firm we worked with. Anna Greta Boyce, who is still alive, was one of the founding people of the museum. She was one of those visionaries. So I just like put all this thought in. I was like, okay, here's the chance. Let's answer it. Let's see. Is the myth real? And so she spent a month going through those books with her partner, Marilee, and came back and they said, yeah.
Wow.
At least from 1928 to 1936, Billy Waples gave out millions of dollars in loans in charge accounts to the people of Linden, seeing next to nothing back on those charge accounts until after World War II.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So Billy Waples literally carried Linden through the Depression.
And he just ran a department store.
Yeah.
What kind of department store was this? Good heavens.
Just general department store. It had a grocery. It had a hardware, men's, women's clothing department, kitchen area, everything. It was just a general department store. Sears, like you would think it's Sears catalog. I mean, you could buy anything you needed to or order anything you needed.
He really must have been killing it then.
Oh, he was. I don't know, but I would not be surprised if he was the most wealthy person in Linden at that point in time, if not one of the most wealthy people in Whatcom County and even in Washington State.
Jeez.
I mean, he was very successful at his business. But he was also, the department store wasn't just one of the ones he ran. 1904, he starts a shingle mill just up by Fish Trap Creek where the walking bridge is. The Waples Shingle Mill goes in because it's the height of the shingle boom. Anybody could make money off of a shingle mill. So he starts a shingle mill. And him and Ed Edson get together and they're talking about this new steam power technology and this new generator technology and how lights and cities are really awesome. And boy, wouldn't it be neat to have how all the people they could bring to Linden if we had electric lights downtown. So they start the Waples and Edson power plant that ran off of a steam engine using the sawdust from the shingles that were milled.
Oh, that's funny.
So they start Linden Light. He then has also, by this point in time, started all sorts of, he had his own line, Linden Department Store seed potatoes, Linden Department Store eggs, you know. I mean, he was a smart guy. I mean, he's one of those people that you sort of, you know, you get that question. If you could go back and meet anybody in history, who would you like to meet? I would really love to sit down and have a beer with Billy Waples and just pick his brain.
No kidding.
Because he saw things that people couldn't see and then would make a lot of money off of it.
Hey, credit to him. That's not easy.
No, it wasn't. I mean, he was invested in the phone company. I mean, if he didn't initially start the business as a successful new business to Linden, he was probably invested in it.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Ah, jeez.
So, and then the flip side was he wasn't cutthroat about his pieces. So one story is, and this is an absolute true story because a fella, Everett Zeidmere, saw him do this. Everett's dad ran Linden Bike and Tire. Okay. And which is almost directly across from Linden Department Store. And Linden Bike and Tire was having a hard time because the department store was capable of selling them for cheaper.
Right.
And at one point, Billy Waples sort of heard through the grapevine that he was having a hard time. He went over and he said to Everett's dad, "You're having a hard time. I understand that this is probably because of the competition that I'm offering. You know, I just want you to know that I'm going to make this right." So he went over and got all of his bikes from his inventory at the Linden department store, brought them all over to Linden Bike and Tire, gave him the inventory, sold it to him for pennies on the dollar, and said, "I'm not going to carry any bikes or anything anymore.
Wow.
You're the guy."
Oh, my word.
Yeah. So, you know, I mean, he was one of those guys that was capable of saying, "I've got more than enough. There is no reason I can't share." And he was just his generosity. Once a year, he threw people call it Billy Waples Day. It was really the Linden department store anniversary sale. But he would make clam chowder by the gallons and fresh biscuits and this feast and invite everybody in Linden for free down, and he would feed them for a day. That was his way of saying, "Hey, thank you guys for supporting the Linden department store."
That's a nice thank you.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So yeah, it's like Billy Waples, the man, the myth, the legend he's an interesting fella. He's one of those people that you look at the wealthy today and complain about in the United States. He's the guy that you would have looked at and he would have broken that rule.
Right.
And said that just because you have money doesn't mean you have to be an asshole.
Okay.
So again, you know, another one of those people, Phoebe Judson, I would, you know, sit down, talk to her. I mean, she was apparently quite a character. I mean, there are just any number of these really amazing people in Linden. I mean, I'd love to sit down and talk to Indian Jim and Indian Sally. Why did they, after Colonel Patterson had been there and treated him like crud, I mean, he was a real jerk. Did they see the two people moving into his house and decide, "Hey, I think we're going to help these guys"? Right.
You know? Yeah, no kidding.
It's there's again some amazingly generous people that I guess let me put it this way. I like to look at Linden's history as being built on the generosity of people who didn't need to be generous.
That's a good way to look at it.
You know, and I think that's one of the reasons that the traditions of Linden are here so much. The reason it's such a clean town. Is because people walking in Linden, they don't need to stop and pick up a piece of garbage, but they will. You know, it's just that aspect. I would hazard a guess that Linden has got one of the highest levels of volunteerism in any community in Whatcom County, let alone any community in the United States. It's whether they're volunteering for, you know, and not even, you take out the church aspect. I mean, everybody I know in Linden volunteers somewhere.
Right.
So,
man, it's a heck of a pitch to come visit Linden, man.
Well, it is. But if you do come, you got to be prepared to carry forward those traditions.